Round 2 of my Professor deck against the guy who played Jinteki Replicating Perfection against me. This time he's bringing out his Gwendol deck, and that is not fun. That is very scary. It means Scotch. It means Punitive Counter-Strike. It means everything nasty that can happen to me. But I have Magnum Opus to save the day. However, will that be enough? We shall see. He starts off with an awesome first turn, Restructure. So now he has 15 credits. Remember that I need to stay afloat, I must be at most at a 5 credit deficit. So with that in mind, the first thing I do, test run Magnum Opus, scavenge it. Thankfully I started with this combo in my hand. So I'm on 4 credits, but he cannot use Seesaws on me, and he cannot use Punitive Counter-Strike, so I'm safe for now. This comes at the expense of not placing pressure, but against Wayland, sometimes it's better not to place pressure. You don't want to score agendas or make runs when you're not prepared for the consequences. His next turn involves a hedge fund, so now he's further out of reach. Even if I hit Magnum Opus 4 times, I'll still be within Scotch range. But at least he cannot pull off a Seesaws. This is why, for a successful Wayland deck, you need to be able to pressure the runner with churning out agendas. You cannot just simply completely rely on Punitive Counter-Strikes and Scorch Turfs like you see in certain Wayland decks. The ability to score agendas is a must. Yes. Yeah. Flatlining is only an alternate win condition against runners who are not prepared for the consequences, or runners who are forced to run to prevent agenda point win, making it a lose-lose situation for the runner. His next turn, well, he scores a hostile takeover. I mean, that really doesn't help matters. Now he's 5 credits above what he started with this turn. So, what else can I do? Well, I have a Freelance Coding Contract in my hand, and I chain 2 diesels. That gives me burst credits of my own. I had to deliberate on the programs that I needed to trash. I drew a lot of them this time round. I really want to keep the Jin because that will allow me to install even more programs. Yep. So in the end, I kept the Jin and the SMC, trashing 5 other programs for 10 credits. Now I'm on par. Now I'm in good shape. Now I'm actually 5 credits less than him, which means that, yeah, it's good. Good stuff. And not a moment too soon, because he starts setting up his remote. Oh, no agenda in there. Alright, he buys me more time to get my money out. But since I'm already in healthy standing with regards to credits, I decided to set myself up using SMC so that I can make a run on that remote when need be. Draw, restructure. What a turn. So I was once in healthy credit standing, and now he's on 39, I'm on 18. Normally when he has drawn all 3 restructures. Let me put it that way. His first few turns, he already drew all 3 restructures. How cool is that? Not cool at all for me. So I'm not gonna catch up with him in terms of credits for some time now. So I'll just play out my fairy, and I click Opus a few more times while drawing more cards. Drawing more cards is important. I really want to see my plus crit, so I will actually be safe against Scotch. Yes, that's the other thing. If I cannot compete against him in terms of credits, then I need to get my plus crits out so that I cannot be one-shotted in a given turn. Meanwhile, he doesn't draw any agendas. Seems like he's not interested in installing agendas at all. Or maybe he's just afraid of my SMC and wants to draw more ice. In any case, there's no pressure on me to run yet. He only has 1 agenda point, so I click for even more credits. Throwing the fairy out was quite important. It was it was a warning sign to him. Don't use your archer. I'll just break it for 4. Yes, he gets even more money with Beanstalk. He's now 42. I keep drawing a single card every turn, seeing whether I can play it or not, and continue hitting Magnum Opus. Alright, now pressure's on. 2 advance in a remote. I am on 31 credits. He's on 40. 9 credit deficit. I'm in trouble. I have no plus crit out. What am I going to do? I can't let him have this agenda. He could easily be on match point. That is probably a 3-pointer agenda, which means he'll be on 4 points and will only require 3 more points to win. I can't let him have that. I clicked Magnum Opus twice. I drew a card for my third action to compensate for Steam Hack's brain damage, and I ran into the remote because it was now or never. I used Steam Hack because I didn't want to use my own credits to bring up breakers, which would put me within C Scotch range. So, Steam Hack into a wall static. Was deliberating between Morningstar and Corroder, but there was no Morningstar to be had, and yes, it would cost too much to bring it out along with SMC. Yeah, it would cost me 10 to bring out plus 1 to break. So, oh, I did it. Yeah, I did it in the end because, my reasoning at that point was that, yeah, it was worth the sacrifice. And due to him raising wall static, he's now at 37 credits, so I could actually afford to do it and still stay within the safe zone. And I took 1 brain damage. So now you see, because of what I did, I'm on 4 cards, and I am well within the 6 credit zone. So I'm totally safe. And I remarked to him that normally if I manage to accumulate this much money in a game, it will be an instant win for me because I could easily tutor all the big programs I needed. But not this game because C Scotch, a sea sauce with a trace of 20, 30, 40 is not fun to deal with at all. So now I have my Morningstar on the table. Looks pretty good, but I cannot slacken off yet. Losing my tutor means that I need to search for another tutor or install the Garrot in my hand to be safe against an archer. He installs a piece of ice over the remote, which is an indication to me that he really wants to get something scored. So it looks like once again it's time for me to hit that remote, but I need my tutor. So what's it gonna be? I draw. Guess what? It's an SMC. I'm a Jin. Onto the Jin it goes. And run. Yeah. I'll have to run it sooner or later. The correct play here would be to run on the third click because that could be a snare. Any cunning Wayland player would do that. So, I decided to run R&D instead. I'm not sure why. In retrospect, I would have run that remote. It looked very fishy to me. Anyway, I'm running R&D, and I saw a squatch stuff. Not very interesting. Yeah. I think I didn't run the remote because that would put me in C Scotch range. I was afraid of that. If I had to bring out the likes of Ninja or Torch, Cyber Cypher, either way it would cost me a lot of money and it would put me within C Scotch range, which is very dangerous. He doesn't score it. I thought it was an Atlas. Now it's on 2 advancement counters. I need to fish it out this turn. So I was thinking of how to proceed with it. I decided to straight up run on my first click. He exiles Hostile Takeover, and guess what? It's an archer. I lost my fairy in the process of installing the gigantic Morningstar, So I had to give up my Magnum Opus, which is a very questionable move, considering that I need the money to be safe against him. But in the end, I decided to do that because he used up all 3 restructures already and a couple of hedge funds. So I don't think he has too many credit generating means anymore. And anyway, I can scavenge or test run the Magnum Opus whenever I need it. It's no big loss. Right now, I need to get through the Archer, and the best way to do it is with Femme Fatale. Garrote is in my hand, so and anyway, it costs too much with Garrote anyway. Femme Fatale was the best option here. Fairy would have been a nice choice, but I didn't want to waste a tutor on Fairy. Got through. Oh, no, sorry. I don't think I could have gotten Fairy. Femme Fatale was my only choice because Fairy was probably in the heat, and I was using SMC. I spent my last 3 clicks gaining 3 credits. That puts me on 26 to his 31, so C Scotch will not kill me. This is very important. I can't stress how important this is. Because he has been drawing quite a few cards, by now he should have the combo within his hand. I cannot let him have it. Yes, he continues placing pressure with another install advance. This time I decided I could not go for it. It would cost me 5 credits to get through. That would put me well within C Scotch range, and yes, I didn't have a Magnum Opus on board to recover from it. So I had to let him score the agenda. And bad news, it's the cleaners. So now that single plus speed that I finally dug out from my deep stack has not much effect. I'm still vulnerable to C double Scotch. I draw 2 clone chips in succession, about time. Install one of them, and seeing that I'm on 5 credits, I'm on a 5 credit deficit, safe, I'll make a run. If he resists the ice, it will set him back some credits as well, so that's fine for me. And I have bad pub anyway. That is something I need to keep in mind when I play the Professor. Sometimes it's worth making a run just so that I can use the bad pub to my advantage. I see Enigma, he has to pay 3, and I'll just need to pay 5 for the York. But there's no York. If I want a York, I'll have to fetch it with SMC. That would cost me 7. But mitigated by... Oh, sorry. The York is in my hand. I can't install it. Instead, I'm using Cyber Cypher. Ah, yes. I think this is a very good card in Professor deck. You don't need Gordian Blade. You just need Cyber Cypher. It's like a fairy. It's a one-shot against any problematic code gates for a very low install cost. And unlike fairy, it's not just a one-shot. It will work forever on that piece of ice in that server, because the ice is not going to change server. It will only work on the server, but who cares? You just need to get past that server with the problematic piece of ice. And this was my ticket to it. So at the end of that turn, I was down to 20 credits against his 23. Always within the safe zone. That's the most important thing. He fortifies his remote, and he's about to put an agenda inside. Or not. Alright, no pressure, so I will continue building my resources. I quality time, and I believe I do see a freelance coding contract somewhere in there. So I use my diesel. Yep, there's a freelance coding contract. That's a very nice cash injection, much needed. So now I can run with impunity. Now, for the first time this entire game, I believe, I actually have the credit lead. Remember that I'm on match point. I have 5 agenda points as opposed to his 3. I'm still wary of punitive counter. No, punitive is fine. I'm more worried about C Scotch, which can still happen if I'm careless. Too happy spending my credits in bringing out more programs. So I'll be careful about that. I use my second click to run, and he exiles his 3-pointer, the cleaners. to bring out his archer. Wow, that is dedication. Obviously, it means that what's in there is an agenda. Because because if he doesn't exile his cleaners, he's gonna win. I'll still get through. Obviously, I'm locked in at this point. I use fam. It costs a lot. It costs me 10 to break through archer with the bad part, but I do get in. I score a 3-pointer and close. 3-pointer to close the game. Yeah, Magnum Opus decks are a huge problem for Wayland any day. As long as the Magnum Opus can be retrieved out early and the runner is very conscientious about and aware of the preemptive Counter-Strike and Seesaws combos, there is very little that Wayland can do to flatline the runner. That is why, going back to what I said earlier, the corp must find a way to get those agendas pumping early game. They must flow like water from source to scoring power. They must keep flowing, never stopping, to place the pressure on the runner so that the runner actually has to run. Otherwise, the runner can just sit back, build their big rig with lots of economy, and it's pretty much unstoppable once the mid to late game rolls around. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this interesting. See ya.